Okay, this is quiz number 4. Let's see how we go with this one. Maybe the questions are a little harder. We'll see how they go. First question. Jesus fed a crowd of 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. Actually, one of the Gospels says 5,000 men, not counting women and children. Very famous miracle. He repeated this miracle with another crowd. How many were in this crowd, and with what food did he feed them? Was it 4,000 people with 7 loaves and a few fish? Was it 6,000 people with 5 loaves and 5 fish? Was it 3,000 people with 7 fish and a few loaves? Or 4,000 with 1 loaf and 1 fish? Pick your answer. Pause if you need a little bit more time, and we'll have a look at what the right answer is. Okay, Jesus actually fed 4,000 people with 7 loaves and a few fish. That's in Matthew chapter 15. It was the second miracle of feeding a large crowd. The first one was done on the northwestern side of Galilee. The second one was done on the northeastern side, where there were lots of non-Jewish people living. Maybe there's a reason for that. I've put a little link in the description which you might like to have a look at that explains why these two miracles ended up being slightly different. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. Jesus had 3 friends from one family. He loved them very much. Mary, Martha, and their brother. What was the brother's name? Was it James the younger, Nicodemus, Lazarus, or Jairus? Don't worry about those underlines. They're just on the PowerPoint. I couldn't get rid of them. Okay, there's the 4 possibilities. Which one was the brother of Mary and Martha, the family that Jesus loved? Take your pick. Pause if you need some time. Here's the answer. Okay, it was in fact a man named Lazarus. He was the brother of Mary and Martha. That's in John chapter 11. And it's a very famous person because he died, and later on in that Gospel of John we read that Jesus raised him from the dead. So Lazarus also became very well known in the time of Jesus. Okay, moving on to the next question. In which town did Mary, Martha and Lazarus live? These 3 people, as I said, were a family that Jesus loved very much. And they lived in a town. Was it Jericho? Was it Jerusalem? Was it Bethel? Or was it Bethany? Which one of those towns did they live in? Take your pick. Pause if you need some more time. And here's the answer. They lived in Bethany, John chapter 11. Small town, only a couple of kilometres from Jerusalem, and that's often where Jesus would go for some quietness and some time with the people he loved. Just interesting that any time you see a name in the Bible that starts with Beth, it actually means house. So when you read Bethel, it means house of God. And when you see Bethany, it means house of dates. Guess there must have been a lot of date palms there. One we'd all know is Bethlehem, which means house of bread or house of food. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Jesus met a Samaritan woman at a well. How many husbands had she had beside the one that she had now? Did she have 1, 3, 2, or 5? Think about it. Take your time. And here's the answer. She had 5 husbands, John chapter 4. When Jesus met her, he said, "Go and get your husband." And she said, "I don't have a husband." And Jesus said to her, well, you got that right. You've had 5 husbands, and the one you've got now is not your own. So that was just demonstrating that Jesus, by his grace, is going to welcome everybody, no matter what our background has been, no matter how sad our life has been. We always have salvation in Jesus. But it was 5 husbands the poor lady had had. Okay, let's move on to the next question. One of Jesus' disciples was named Thomas. The disciple Thomas had a nickname or a surname. What did it mean? Well, we don't have to know what the nickname was, but what did it mean? So did Thomas's nickname mean the Rock, or the Twin, or God's Bread, or the Elder? Again, take your pick. Think about which one you think's right, and we'll have a look at the right answer. The nickname meant the twin. The disciple Thomas was given the nickname Didymus, and Didymus means a twin. But here's the curious thing, the name Thomas means a twin also. So he was called the twin, nicknamed the twin. And you might say, well, why that? Well, it's because one name is in Aramaic, which the Jewish people understood, and the other name is in Greek, which the non-Jewish people understood. So when this story was told throughout the world, whether you were Jewish or Greek, you would know that the name means a twin. Okay, next question. A member of the ruling Jewish council came to Jesus by night. What was his name? The Jews had a ruling council called the Sanhedrin, and it made up all the laws for the Jewish religion. They were very important people, well respected. One of them came to see Jesus at night. Was it Paul? Was it Jairus? Was it Nicodemus? Was it Joseph of Arimathea? Okay, think about it. Pause if you need more time. Choose your answer. And here's the answer. It was Nicodemus. Now, why did he come at night time? Because the council of the Jewish people, made up of 70 elders, didn't like Jesus. They didn't like the way he was taking people as his followers. And so Nicodemus didn't want everybody to know that he talked to Jesus, so he snuck out at night to make sure all his other council members didn't know. But later he became a great follower of Jesus after Jesus' death. Okay, let's move on to the next question. What did Jesus tell Nicodemus to do? Nicodemus came to Jesus to find the way of salvation, and Jesus told him to be baptized, to be born again, or to sell all his possessions, or to become a Christian. Which one of those 4 things did Jesus tell Nicodemus to do? Okay, think about it. Choose your answer. And there it is. Jesus said to Nicodemus, you must be born again of the water and the Spirit. Nicodemus said, well, what's that mean? Do I have to go inside my mother and come out again? Jesus said to him, being born of the water and the Spirit is a spiritual rebirth. He needs to be a child of the Spirit so he can belong to God. Okay. Next question. When Jesus was raised from the dead, he met his disciples down by the sea, fishing. They'd gone back to fishing. He told them to throw the net on the other side of the boat. How many fish did they catch? Was it 153? Was it 12? Was it 144 or 800? Take your pick, which one's the right answer, and now we'll find out. They in fact caught 153 fish. That's in John chapter 21. It's strange that it should tell us how many fish there were. I've put a little link in the description to a Wikipedia entry just about the number 153, but Christians have often wondered why that particular number was recorded. And you can read a little bit about it in that link. Okay, next one. Jesus gave a great sermon. It's called the Sermon on the Mount, when he spoke to many, many people gathered in front of him. Jesus said that if someone steals your coat, some versions of the Bible say your shirt or your tunic, what should you do? Should you give them your cloak also? That's your overcoat? Should you try to get it back from them? Should you just let them have it? Or should you steal it back later? Which one of those four things did Jesus tell people to do if someone steals your coat? Think about it. Pause if you need a bit more time. And here's the answer. Jesus said that if someone steals your coat, give them your cloak also. Matthew chapter 5. Jesus was telling them that if someone wrongs you, don't try to wrong them back. Make sure you are loving and give them everything, your time, your effort, everything. That will make them see that you are different, that you are a disciple of Jesus. Okay, next question. Which two disciples cured a crippled man on the temple steps? Well, we've moved past Jesus now. Jesus has now ascended to heaven, and his disciples are now out preaching the gospel. So which two raised a man up? The man was crippled. They lifted him up so he could walk. Which two did that on the steps of the temple? Was it Peter and Andrew? Was it John and James? Was it Philip and Bartholomew? Or was it Peter and John? Think about it. Take your choice. Here's the right answer. It was Peter and John, Acts chapter 3. Peter and John saw this man on the temple steps, and he was begging. And he said to them, "Please, can I have some money, some coins?" And Peter and John said, "We don't have any money, but what we do have we'll give to you. In the name of Jesus of Nazareth, stand up and walk." And the man stood up and walked. And that was a pretty spectacular thing. And all the people around were impressed, and they began to ask the disciples about this wonderful person, Jesus, who had the power through these disciples to cure people. Okay, that's the finish of this one. My email address is in the description. So if anybody has any questions for me, please send me an email. And all the best and God bless.